Buenos dias, Joyce, and thank you for joining us today at Business Spotlight Series. Today, I am excited to introduce Joyce Onuonga, Managing Director of John White & Son Weighing Machines Limited. Joyce, very welcome.
Thank you.
So, Joyce, we had a bit of a chat before the interview, and you've got a fascinating life, really, coming all the way from Kenya some 30 years ago. When you were a little girl at school, did you dream that what you've gone through will happen? And ending up in Scotland, running and owning a business?
Not in my wildest dreams.
Yes.
I was born in a village in rural Kenya and grew up in a big family. My dreams were to go through to university and become a lawyer. So running a business in Scotland, I didn't even know Scotland. That was not in my wildest dreams, but it happened.
Wonderful. So obviously that shows, that you are open to adventure and getting things done and doing new things, and that's shows a lot of courage, from your side.
Absolutely.
So, and you've proven that a number of times in your career. So tell us. So you came here 30 years ago. You mentioned that your husband was doing a PhD. You came over, and then he went to South Africa, and then you stayed back, and then you got a job with John White. It was a temporary thing for 6 months or so.
Yes, that is
And then
correct.
what happened?
I was brought in to come and implement change. The company was going through a transition. It was both transition because the company had parted ways and was reestablishing itself. And at the same time, technology was moving a transition from mechanical to electronics. And these were two big issues in the company, and they were looking for somebody to help them manage this change. And through introduction, I was brought in to assist with this. And I made various recommendations and introduced them to Scottish Enterprise. And when the time came for me to leave, they said, no, you're not going anywhere. You're going to help us implement this. And that is how I stayed. I stayed as a business development manager. Later on became the general manager and acquired some shares in the company. And we progressed, making innovative changes within the company. And eventually, Edwin and Theo decided it was time for them to sell the business and step back. They approached me whether I was interested, and I thought, why not? I've also worked here for long. I admire the business. I've helped nurture this business, and I think there's a lot more that we can do with this business. And in 2017, I did a management buyout and acquired the business, where I work with my two sons, Brian and Bethan.
That's brilliant. That's a beautiful story. So what was your background before joining the business? Was it engineering, electrical engineering, or what was it?
Oh, far from it. I had not done engineering as such. My first degree was in education.
Okay.
And personnel then I did personnel at the time. I did a master's in education and then business management, but I had never done engineering at all.
So when they call on you to help them transition, what part of the business they wanted help with?
They wanted help with training and development of skilling the staff, and also really more business restructuring, business management.
Okay.
And the areas that I did identify was that one of upskilling engineers from mechanical to having some electrical know-how, and restructuring how the business was set, and also looking at how we can make the business more commercially viable in that transition.
Brilliant. Okay, and you've done very, very well. So that's excellent. Now, Joyce, when you mentioned before when we were talking that the key thing you found very, very important, one is obviously that the business should be commercially viable. Values, you talked about the values, and you said that
Yes.
you love the values the business had, and you've kept them. And the third thing you said was the people you work with, that's what makes, what you attribute your success a lot to the people you surrounded yourself with. So let's start with the values. What are the values that the company has?
The values, first and foremost, is respect for one another,
Mhm.
the integrity part of it, internally and externally. If we don't have integrity within ourselves, then we cannot apply that to our customers and other stakeholders. So that is very, very important to us, to me, and to the company at large. The issue of caring for each other. We cannot claim to have customer care if we don't care for each other. So I always strive to make this a happy working environment because we spend most of our time at work anyway. So if we can't feel comfortable at work, then whatever is going to be produced is not going to be that good. And that is why I say at the center of it is home, is happiness. If people wake up on Monday and feel, oh, I couldn't be bothered getting out of bed, but I know I'm going to work and feel motivated and encouraged, then I think I will feel I've achieved my goal.
Brilliant. When coming to people, what are you looking for when you recruit people? Yeah, what are the attributes you look for them to work and be happy at John White?
First and foremost, I look at people who have a forward looking attitude, who are open, who would like to better themselves and in the process better the organization. And then their skills come in because skills can be taught, but if people don't have the right attitude, are
Correct.
not motivated, then this doesn't really count for much.
Yes. No, I always say something I hear quite often. You cannot motivate people. You have to recruit motivated people.
Absolutely,
Yeah, brilliant,
absolutely.
brilliant.
People have to be driven.
Yes. Um, what are your plans, long term for the next 5, 10 years? Where would you like the business to be? What are the plans for the business?
In the next 5 to 10 years, I would expect that the business would have developed innovative products. And as a result of that, the business will expand, will grow. We will be doing a lot more exports. And by that time, I would hope I will have retired
Yeah.
and left the business with Brian and Bethan to carry the mantle in
Yes.
running the business and really still putting innovation at the center of the business so that we can provide uh, first class products and services to our customers.
Yes. Yes. Brilliant. So you a lot of so innovation is a key part of what
Yes,
you do, right?
yes.
Brilliant. How do you keep innovating? I mean, there are many people who will be watching this recording who innovation is a key part as well of their business in the industry. How do you need surround yourself with creative people?
It's the partnerships, and particularly with the customers. We keep very close touch with the customers to find out what are their needs, and we look at what is out there. What can we do to enhance and make it a lot easier for the customers to get the right kind of package that will make their operation more efficient and save them time and money. So driven by the need,
Okay.
we then come back and to the drawing board and think, what can we offer to make us more competitive and to make our customers feel happy?
So is it that you ask clients, your customers, what problems do you need to solve that we can help you solve with your
Absolutely.
product, right? And then you develop
Absolutely.
your products to solve those problems. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. With the technology now moving so fast, for
Yeah.
example, there is artificial intelligence, there is robotics, and the data is a very big thing. So just weighing is not enough. Customers are looking, what else can we do this? How can we integrate the
Yes.
different services we have
Yeah.
so that we are ahead of the game?
Yes.
And that we take it as our responsibility to help them get this and integrate in their operation
Yeah.
to have a seamless operation for them. And that helps us also in innovating. And being a small business, we don't have a lot of in-house expertise. We have some, but not broad. So we partner a lot with the institutions like universities and other institutions. And we found that has helped us a great deal. Right now, we have KTP who is working on one of the innovations. We are doing about 3 of them at the moment, but without partnering with the other stakeholders, particularly universities, I don't think we would have come this far.
Brilliant. Um, you mentioned about innovation and things moving so fast. And then earlier on, when we were talking about, I asked you the question, do you have a favorite book? And you mentioned the book, Who Moved My Cheese? And when you say about things moving so fast, I think that you put both together. You don't want to wake up one morning and say, "Hey, who moved my cheese?" We cannot sell what we've got. What's happening here? So you're innovating to stay up to date and brilliant. So yeah,
Absolutely. To
yeah.
be competitive, we have to be ahead of the game.
Yeah. So if anybody watching this hasn't read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? It's a great, very small book. You can read it in a couple of hours. And yes, how long ago did you read that book, Joyce?
Oh, that was in the 90s.
Okay, yes, definitely. So
Yes,
yeah, books are incredible. I always say your business will grow as much as you grow. And
yes,
we grow through learning and reading books, listening to audios and so on. Yeah, definitely.
absolutely. That is correct. We have to integrate all these methods of learning,
Yes.
peer learning, as you say, reading, listening to other people's audios, and sharing information. That I think enhances growth,
Yeah.
personal growth, and organizational growth.
Definitely. And what are some of the biggest challenges you've had to face in your career to get to where you've been, to where you are today?
Um, the biggest challenges, I think, has been being a woman in the engineering sector and not being an engineer myself. I think that was one of the biggest challenge, getting the acceptance and acknowledgement from my colleagues when I joined, from partners like customers, suppliers, and that. I had to work a lot harder to make myself relevant and for people to know that I knew what I was talking about and I was running a business. I think that was the biggest challenge I encountered.
And how do you overcome that? I mean, you mentioned about working harder, because that happens to a lot of people that they are lacking on something and they have to make up somewhere else. So how do you, because some people will say, oh, this is too big a task for me, and they give up. And I always say the definition of failure is giving up. I mean, I think Nelson Mandela said, I never fail, I either win or learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Totally agree.
yeah,
I think my my principle to that is that if you can't do it, there are other people who can help you. So I had to seek out help,
Yes.
support, surround myself with people who gave me that support that I needed. And that did help me a great deal.
Brilliant. I was interviewing another business owner last week, and he said, I said, what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self? And he said, don't stay shy and ask for help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So brilliant.
There are only two outcomes that can come from asking yes or no.
Yeah, correct. And if you don't ask, it's a no.
Yes, if you
Yeah,
ask and you are told yes, fair enough. If it's no, it's for a reason.
yeah,
Move on.
yeah. Brilliant, brilliant. Um, okay, so well, it's let me ask you then that question to yourself. What would advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
Believe in yourself. Don't fear. As you said, ask and be clear what you want in life and go for it.
Brilliant. Um, can you tell us something about mindset? Because I mean, to get to where you got, you said before, not knowing about engineering, being a woman in the engineering industry, which is, male dominated. So you have things up against you, and you need a very strong mindset. Well, there is a great book called Mindset, which talks about fixed mindset and
Yes,
growth mindset. What can you tell people watching this to help them when they face unsurmountable problems, and they want to give up? Any advice you can give them on how to overcome that, because it's the head, isn't it?
it
It
is.
all starts here. And
It
it
is the head. The way I look at it is very simplistic, maybe because of my background and where I grew up. Uh, there is no problem that has no answer. So the way I looked at it is a business, engineering, medical, or whatever. There is a customer or a client who has a need. I have to understand that need and provide it. If I can't provide it myself, I have to create a network to enable me provide that solution. And that is what I focused on rather than going into engineering because I will never be an engineer. I can't pretend to be an engineer.
Yes,
But I understand that customers have a need
yes,
and they need to be looked after. And that is what I focus on.
brilliant. By the way, when you said that, there is a little book here also. Let me just get it. Have you read this book?
Yes,
You
I
have.
have. I have. I have.
Well done, Joyce. So this book talks about being the technician, which is the engineer or whatever industry you are.
Yeah.
Well, you need to have great technicians, but running a business is
Yes,
beyond being a technician, beyond being an engineer,
exactly.
whatever the case might be. So that's a great insight because many people get stuck with that. Oh, I'm not a great technician. Running a business is broader than that. So great,
Exactly.
great. Well, Joyce, that's been a wonderful interview. Let me ask you one more last question. If you could have a superpower, what would you go for?
Oh, interesting. I would go for solving the world's issues on energy and water, clean energy and clean water in the
Wow,
developing countries.
brilliant, brilliant. And if you could spend a day in the life of, it could be a living person of somebody from the past, who would you choose? Who would be fascinating to spend a day with?
Hmm, interesting. Mandela.
Mandela, okay.
Yes.
I went to the Mandela Museum in Johannesburg years ago, and I was very, very impressed.
Right.
Yeah, very impressed.
Now, having that patience
Yes,
and focus at the same time
yes,
needs a lot of willpower, commitment, dedication.
yeah,
And I have a lot of admiration for
yeah.
that.
And also forgiving, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
the sense of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Because that 26 years would not have meant much
yeah,
if the forgiving aspect wasn't there.
definitely, definitely.
And that is how we move on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, what a great way to finish the interview. Joyce, it's been a real pleasure having you join us today at Business Spotlight Series and for sharing your experience, your wisdom, and candor with us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.